And after the arrival of Silas and Timothy from Macedonia, Paul spent his full time preaching and testifying to the Jews that Jesus is the Messiah. But when the Jews opposed him and blasphemed, hurling abuse at Jesus, Paul shook off the dust from his robe and said, "Your blood be upon your own heads. I am innocent from now on. I will preach to the Gentiles." After that, he stayed with Titus Justus, a Gentile who worshipped God and lived next door to the synagogue. Crispus, the leader of the synagogue, and all his household believed in the Lord and were baptized, as were many others in Corinth. One night the Lord spoke to Paul in a vision and told him, "Do not be afraid. Speak out. Don't quit, for I am with you and no one can harm you. Many people here in this city belong to me." So Paul stayed there the next year and a half, teaching the truths of God. But when Gallio became governor of Achaia, the Jews rose in concerted action against Paul and brought him before the governor for judgment. They accused Paul of persuading men to worship God in ways that are contrary to Roman law. But just as Paul started to make his defense, Galileo turned to his accusers and said, "Listen, you Jews, if this were a case involving some crime, I'd be obliged to listen to you. But since it is merely a bunch of questions of semantics and personalities and your silly Jewish laws, you take care of it. I'm not interested. I'm not touching it." And he drove them out of the courtroom. Then the mob grabbed Sosthenes, the new leader of the synagogue, and beat him outside the courtroom, but Gallio couldn't have cared less. Paul stayed in the city several days after that and then said goodbye to the Christians and sailed for the coast of Syria, taking Priscilla and Aquila with him. At Cenchreae, Paul had his head shaved according to Jewish custom, for he had taken a vow. Arriving at the port of Ephesus, he left us aboard ship while he went over to the synagogue for a discussion with the Jews. They asked him to stay for a few days, but he felt that he had no time to lose. "I must by all means be at Jerusalem for the holiday," he said, but he promised to return to Ephesus later if God permitted, and so we set sail again.